Welcome to episode 59 of Think Big with Michael Zellner. All positive, no politics. My guests today are Max Gilbert and Brock Glenn. Max and Brock are seniors at Lausanne Collegiate School in Memphis, Tennessee. This past March, they were both inducted into the Rho Kappa National Honor Society. Brock is the quarterback for the Lynx and is committed to play football at Ohio State next fall. And Max is the kicker, and he's committed to play at the University of Tennessee. They are both two of the top players at their positions in the nation for the class of 2023. And these are two men that definitely think big. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. My pleasure. Brock, I'll start with you. Tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
Something about me. I'm not actually from Memphis. I'm from Covington, Tennessee, a small town about 50 minutes north. I like to hunt and fish and just hang out with buddies and keep it small town.
Awesome. Max, what about you?
I guess for me, my whole life I played soccer. I never actually started playing football until I was in about 8th grade. I was a football fan, but I never played. And the first time I ever played in a football game was at the end of 8th grade.
Really cool. So, Brock, I believe you grew up, you playing baseball before you got into football, and your quarterbacking career, really got started when your mother, Donna, bought you a throwing net. She said, quote, "That was probably the best $200 I spent on him," unquote. You started off playing flag football before switching to full contact in, I think, about 5th grade. What do you remember most about those early days playing as a kid?
Really just I watched college football, watched NFL. My family is a big athletic family, so sports was always on around the house or always being talked about. So just really watching highlights and just the games of college athletes and just wanting to be like them. And just I knew it was so fun from playing flag football, and I've played that since I was probably 6. So I've loved football all my life. And I come out of a family of pretty good arms. My sisters, I have 3 sisters, 2 of them were pitchers, and they went to UT Martin to play college ball. So we've always kind of just thrown balls around the house and watched sports. So I just grew up loving it.
Awesome. Max, you on the other hand, really, as you talked about, you didn't start playing football, till 8th grade. You said, quote, "I never thought I would be a football player. I was like, I want to play soccer. Soccer has been my goal my whole life," unquote. I looked up some of your stats, and you're a heck of a soccer player. And your mom, Jennifer, said no at first when you were asked by Lausanne assistant coach Chris Jordan to play football. Then your friends' moms stepped in to help you out and convinced her to let it happen. What was going through your mind when the no turned into a yes?
I mean, like you said, I didn't really want to play football. I played soccer my whole life. I wanted to play soccer in college. And then I was in 8th grade, and the 8th grade team really needed a kicker. And so all my friends and all the coaches were like, "Well, come play." And I didn't want to. I had no interest in really playing because I wanted to play soccer. But I went out to a couple practices, and I saw that I had a little talent at it. I mean, I thought that it's something that I could have fun doing. So I asked my mom, and she said no. And then all the other moms on the team talked to her and said, "Well, come on, let him do it." And so I played maybe 2 games in 8th grade. And then going into my freshman year, I still didn't want to do it. And then, like you said, Coach Jordan and Coach LeCastro, they came to my mom, and they were like, he could really have the opportunity to do something special, and he could start as a freshman. So I decided to do it, and it turned out well. And I'm glad that Mom let me play.
Awesome. You talked about you growing up in Covington, Brock, and for those that don't know, you talk about Covington's, it's a small town, about an hour north of Memphis. And you originally, played, football with the Covington team that was committed to the short pass, running a wing tee offense that only averaged about 5 passes a game. And you had to make a tough decision. You said, quote, "I knew Lausanne was the right choice. Leaving my friends was hard, but I knew coming here would be the best move for me academically and athletically," unquote. In your short life, that has to be one of the best choices you've made so far, right?
Yes, sir, for sure. It was a very hard choice. I kind of debated and went back and forth whether I should do it or not. Did I want to leave my friends? and really bet on myself or have fun, enjoy a high school experience, and just hope for the best. And I decided to transfer and enroll at Lausanne, and it was the greatest decision of my life.
Max, you come from a little bit different background. You grew up in Memphis, and you've been going to Lausanne since you were 3 years old. And so you've pretty much grown up at 1381 West Massey Road. Tell us about what the school's meant to you as you approach graduation and a few of your best memories there.
I mean, Lausanne, I'd tell anyone I've had the best experience of my life there. I mean, people always ask me, what if you went somewhere else? But I couldn't even imagine it because, like you said, I've been going to Lausanne since I was 3 years old. And I've been playing soccer there since I was 3. And just the friends that I have now there have been my same group of friends since I was in kindergarten. And I'm sad to leave. And I know me and Brock we're both leaving in January, going to college. And I'll be sad to leave. But no, I think it's the best school in the city. I've made the best memories of my life there. And I've made lifelong friends.
Brock, you showed up at Lausanne your freshman year, and you're 5'10", and you weigh just 140 pounds. And Coach LeCastro knew very little about you at the time when you got there. And he said that you showed up on campus and you said to him, quote, "I play quarterback," unquote. What do you think was going through Coach's mind when you're a 9th grader, newcomer to the school, and you said that to him?
He probably didn't know what was going on. He was like, "Man, here's a kid from Covington, Tennessee, in the wing tee, and says he's a quarterback. Well, let's find out." I mean, it's great to have another kid join the team and just be a part of the brotherhood that we truly have. But he took me in with open arms, and the entire coaching staff really put their time and effort into developing me and helped me a lot throughout the way. So I wouldn't be anything close to what I am or anything that I have without any of them.
Quote, "If it involves putting a foot to a ball, Gilbert will get the job done," unquote. You started playing football. You talked about the end of 8th grade. And by the time you're a sophomore, you're starting kicker, but you also ranked one of the top kickers in the nation for the class of 2023. And you're really your first full year playing. I mean, obviously you had a great leg, Max, from playing soccer all those years, but just within a span of just 2 years to be one of the best high school kickers in the nation, that's just incredible. I mean, how did you get that good that quickly?
I owe everything down to Josh Jasper. He is the kicking coach at Lausanne. He's the special teams coach. He's a kicking coach. He was an All-American kicker at LSU from 2007 to 2010, won a national championship in 2007. And he went to Ridgeway High School in Memphis. And so he's living in Memphis. And I think probably about 6 years ago, Coach LeCastro, our head coach, his sister works in admissions, and she went to Coach LeCastro and said, "Hey, my brother was an All-American kicker at LSU. I mean, if you want him to come work with the kickers, come out." So I'm the second kicker he's ever worked with at Lausanne. I came in as a freshman, didn't really know anything at all about kicking. I just knew how to kick a ball. And he taught me how to punt, how to kick, how to kick off, all of the technique and the mechanics that I've adopted into my kicking style are literally the exact of what he had in high school and college. So I owe everything down to him. I mean, he took me in right before freshman year, and I was not very good until by the end of freshman year, I was, like you said, nationally ranked, and everything I owe is down to him.
I didn't know that he was the coach there at Lausanne. Now I went to Ridgeway too. So yeah, I remember that story, reading about him when he was at LSU. Very cool. Brock, as a freshman, you're the, backup quarterback, but you just didn't sit around and wait to get your shot. You went out and you made things happen. You lifted weights with the offensive linemen, throwing sessions on the weekends with wide receivers. By the time you're a sophomore, you weren't that tall, skinny person who arrived on campus the year before. And Thomas Morris, your position coach at QB Country, said of you, quote, "He's one of those kids that's truly obsessed with football. He lives it. That's his first love. There are some guys who just pick up a ball and they get it. It started way before he got to me," unquote. Where did that discipline and strong work ethic come from?
I think just my family and growing up around it. Like I said, it was a very athletic family. All of my siblings were athletic and played some kind of sport. My brother, quarterback, my grandpa, quarterback. So we just all kind of love sports. And then I think they introduced that to me, and I fell in love with it as well. And I just picked up a joy, or I had a joy every time I picked up a ball and threw it, especially with my brother. We'd watch college football and then go outside in the yard and throw, or I'd beg my mom to come outside and throw with me. And like you said, finally she got enough of it and bought me a net, and I just go outside and throw into that and just have fun. I mean, every time I play football, I'm having fun, and that's what I love about it.
Max, you've competed at the Coles professional camps, I believe, for the last 3 years. And your first year in 2020, after your freshman year, you had one of the strongest legs at the camp on kickoffs in the class of 2023. And then in 2021, you were involved in several of the camps there. They said of you, quote, his field goals were some of the cleanest we saw this winter, and he showed great accuracy with points made, unquote. I believe you finished with the highest field goal score in the country for 2023 and 2024 out of over 170 kickers. And then in the camp you just competed in this past July, you graded out at the 5-star level. Those are some incredible accomplishments. You obviously worked really hard over the last 3 years, and you've continued to get better and put it all together, both on field goals and kickoffs. What are some of the things that you have done to improve your accuracy and create additional power in your leg?
I mean, for accuracy, it's just practice. I mean, and kicking with the best. I work with some kicking coaches who give me the opportunity to kick with guys at the college and at the NFL level. So every month I would go and kick with guys who are Power 5 starters and NFL starters. And you only get better by competing with people that are better than you or just as good as you. So I would work with them. And in terms of once you get to a certain level with kicking, power isn't really the most important. It's accuracy and it's consistency. So I would work every day, just working on my weaknesses and making sure that I was challenging myself. I was kicking. Even Coach Jasper, he would bring out his cleats sometimes and kick against me at practice. And because you only get better by working with people who will push you. So, yeah.
Every quarterback has a bad game here and there, no matter how great they are. And when that's happened to you, Brock, what have you learned from those experiences?
I think mistakes make everyone better. They make you learn, kind of go over what you did wrong and focus on that. So I think I handle bad games well. I don't let it get to me mentally. I know that for sure. And I do make sure to focus on things and work on things that went wrong during the game. For example, when we played Bartlett this year, I was overthrowing a lot of passes. After the game, I didn't let it get to me mentally, but the next week of practice, my whole goal the whole week was to not have any overthrows. So from every single game, I try to take away something to work on in the next following week of practice, and just focus on that and focus on a detail at a time. You can't focus on too many things or too many big things. I think the small details are what really matter. And that's definitely helped me along the way.
Max, how would your coaches and teammates describe you?
I would just say hard worker. I mean, on and off the field in the classroom, I think I've had the highest GPA on the team all 4 years. And just instead of a vocal leader, because I think my position is so individual, it's hard for me to lead on the field. So I'd say I lead by example, I think, by how I carry myself on and off the field.
You guys must have two of the highest GPAs on the team, because I think, Brock, I read that yours is like 3.8 something. So, I mean,
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So obviously you work hard on the field and off the field, so you should be proud of that. Brock, tell the audience about the trick play where you threw a touchdown to 295-pound Ethan Hatton and how that came about.
Star Wars, that's what it's called. We put it in the week of that game. I think it was Humboldt, and super excited to run it when we first were introduced to it. The every lineman and the skills, we were all jumping up and down, excited. So we practiced it every day at practice that game week. And Coach Nagowski, our offense coordinator, told me before the game, if we get inside the 10, we're probably going to run it. So be ready. We got inside the 10 on a huge momentum shift in the game, and the coach was yelling out Star Wars. So I jump up and down, and I'm excited, and I run up, tell the line, Star Wars, and get them lined up, and everybody excited. And then we threw it, and it happened, and Big Ethan Hatton scored, and it was a great time. I know he enjoyed it, and so did everyone else.
Yeah, I saw the celebration. It looked like that was a lot of fun. So that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Gary Wunderlich is a former Memphis University School and Ole Miss kicker, Max. And coming out of high school, he was ranked number 1 kicker in the nation by Rivals.com. He holds the record at Ole Miss for points scored, field goals made, PATs made. John Varlas covers high school sports for the Daily Memphian. He said recently, quote, "Max is the second high school kicker I've ever seen that draws oohs and ahs from the crowd. The other was Gary Wunderlich," unquote. That's some pretty great company to be in there. How did those oohs and ahs make you feel when you hear them?
I think it's just when you're on the field, I don't know if Brock will say the same thing, but I'm on the field, I kind of zone out. I don't hear the crowd, but I think I'm just honored that he put me in the same conversation as a kicker like Gary. I've never actually met Gary, but I've trained a lot with Corey Acosta, who kicked at Christian Brothers, and he played at Southern Miss, and I got a chance for the 49ers in the NFL. But I think I'm just proud to be in the same conversation as him, and I'm glad that John Barlow said that about me. But yeah, I think it's just testament to me and how hard I've worked and the people around me.
And Brock, and talking about your recruiting, you said, quote, "The whole process has been crazy. It began after my sophomore year when I picked up 7 offers. After my junior year, many more teams had the opportunity to see me play in person, and things took off. It has been fun but stressful," unquote. We'll definitely get to the end result, which puts you in Columbus, Ohio in January. First, though, how in the world were you able to stay calm and grounded throughout the last few years with all this excitement around you?
Growing up, middle school especially, I knew that I wanted to play college football. And I heard it countless times that in order to do it, you got to believe in yourself. So really all my middle school years, I worked hard, trained, even though I was in the wing tee, I still had hopes for a big future. And I still believed in myself and believed that I could make it. So that played a huge part in enrolling at Lausanne, just believing that I could actually do it. So I've kind of always had the inner dialogue that I would make it and that I would do it. So it wasn't too surprising. I mean, I know that I've wanted to do it for a long time and I've worked hard for it, but I've had many other people help me. My family, Thomas Morris, the coaches at Lausanne, everyone, they've helped me make it, and they've made it special. Like I said, it was stressful. It was very stressful, but it was also fun. I know a lot of people in this world want an opportunity like that, and I was one of those people. And so I was blessed to have it happen to me, and I just enjoyed it every time I could and try to stay present and focus on what was happening in the present.
Adam Tanowski is a former kicker for the University of Buffalo, and he's the owner of Hammer Kicking Academy. And since it was founded in 2008, he's helped over 550 college athletes earn scholarships and 45 try out or sign with an NFL team. And back on January 31st in 2021, Max, you were in Orlando and you kicked a friggin' 62-yard field goal, and Adam was the holder. You share the same birthday, September 29th, and you have a special relationship with him too. Tell us a little bit about him and what he's been able to do for you.
Yeah, Adam is my guy. He's the first guy I met in the kicking world, and it's such like a niche world. There's so many specialist trainers. I think quarterback's the same. There's so many different groups you can train with. And after my freshman year, when I went to a Coles camp the summer before my sophomore year, and I got lucky enough to be ranked as the number 2 kicker in the country after that summer, and he just reached out to me on Twitter and asked if I wanted to train with him. And a lot of coaches reach out because, I mean, the kicking world or the quarterback world is a cruel world for some coaches, where a lot of times coaches would just want to attach their name to you and say that they trained you.
Right.
Where I had a lot of coaches reaching out, but he was like the coolest guy that I talked to on the phone. So I went and trained with him, and he is without a doubt, I can say, the best kicking coach besides, him and Josh Judge from my high school, but outside of Lausanne, that I've ever worked with. He just, on a personal level and on a kicking level, I mean, he trains so many guys in the NFL, so many guys at the D1 FBS level. And I mean, I pretty much talk to him every single day on the phone. And I went and stayed with him this summer where he lives in Buffalo. And anytime I ever feel like my kicking game needs any work, I just give him a call and he helps me. And yeah, I'd look at him as sort of a second father figure to me. He's such a cool guy.
Greg Raber is Director of Social and Emotional Learning and Mindfulness at Lausanne, and he recently tweeted, quote, "Thanks to Max Gilbert and Brock Glenn for speaking with no notice to the entire Lausanne upper school student body today about the benefits of mental performance training, such outstanding scholar athletes and role models," unquote. To be able to do that, without any preparation says so much about y'all's character, and because it comes from your heart that way. And Greg, I know he's worked with the team, and this is a question I have for both of you because I think it's so really important talking about mental health. How important has it been to be mentally prepared and keep a positive attitude, for you guys? How important has that been for not only your football career, but your life in general? Brock, I'll start with you.
I think the mental part of football is probably 80% of the game, especially as a quarterback. You have pass protections, formations, the actual play, knowing pre-snap what you want to go, where you want to go with the ball, what defense they're in. You've got to know all these different things in just one play that lasts 4 to 6 seconds. So I think being mentally prepared is the biggest part of football that most people don't understand, especially as a quarterback. I try to watch as much film as I can on an upcoming opponent and really just analyze and break down what they're doing defensively and their weaknesses and our strengths. So I think being prepared is everything. And then just balancing out the good and bad is super important for every single position in all of sports. You're going to have a bad play and you're going to have a good play. That's just the name of the game. And something that Mr. Greg Graber tells us all the time is no matter if you have your best play or your worst play, go back to zero. Go hit the mental reset button. You can tap your leg. Imagine tapping a red button in your head, or tap the ground if you're getting on the line as a lineman. Do something that mentally resets you to equal. You're not too high, you're not too low, because you will have a bad play and you have a good play, but you have to remain in an equal amount of mind in order to continue to perform at a high level.
Max, what about you?
I'd say kind of the same stuff, but for my position, the mental side is so important because for a kicker, I mean, I spend over 90%, 95% of the game on the sideline just with my own thoughts. I mean, I don't see the field that often. I mean, I do whenever there's special team stuff, but I mean, for kickers, I'd say it's over 90% mental. I mean, you just got to have one thing that Coach Jasper always told me is just short memory. If you have a miss, you can't dwell about it because you might have to go back out in 10 minutes and kick a game winner, have the opportunity to hit a game winner. And just having a short memory is so important. And what Mr. Graber has done, what he does with the team, I think is so beneficial for everyone involved because, like Brock said, being mentally prepared and mentally visualizing what you're going to do on the field and on game day is so important. And it's also important, like you said, and like your life going forward. I mean, making sure that you and everyone around you is mentally healthy your mental health is so important. So, yeah.
And he's really good at what he does. So I'm glad he's working with you guys. That's wonderful. You guys have a lot of special guys that you play with, and I'd like to talk just, about a couple of them today. First, Tyler Bell. He's one really lucky person. Brock, tell us a little bit about what happened to him a year ago and what he brings to the team.
He was involved in a crash, and he's blessed to be alive, and he's thankful for that, and we are too. Just growing up or not growing up with him, but the past 4 years with him in high school have been amazing. He was one of the first ones that took me in and kind of befriended me. So going through high school with him has been great. And he started as a freshman, so I knew that he had talent and he'd be a college athlete, which he is going to be. Trying to involve myself with him as much as possible because he's a great guy. I also lift with him in the weight room even today. So just being able to connect with him each and every day and build a relationship, that's awesome. He brings just a dog to our team. He's always going to compete. He's always going to give his all. And he really is kind of a leader of the line as well. He gets them going, especially in practice. Him and Will Brown, just keeping up the tempo and remaining at a fast-paced speed while also being mentally locked in and focused on what we're trying to achieve.
Cornerback Langston Rogers received 23 college offers despite just starting to play football 2 years ago, Max, and he's committed to play at Harvard next year. Tell us a little bit more about him.
Langston is one of my closest friends on the football team, and he's just an athlete. I mean, he got good minutes on the state champ. Our Lausanne basketball team won the state championship our freshman year in 2020, right before the pandemic. And Langston got good minutes, and then he decided to play football. I think his mom let him play football sophomore year, and he's just an athlete. I mean, first year playing football, sophomore, he started, and he did a great job. And now he's been a 3-year starter. Like hasn't missed a game, plays both sides of the ball, works hard. And like you said, he had over 20 D1 offers, and a majority of them were to Ivy League schools, which just shows how smart he is on the field and off the field. I mean, he's going to Harvard, and he's an awesome dude, and he's going to do great things.
You know, everyone has obstacles in life and, you know, adversity, you know, at some point. And, you know, it obviously happens with football too. And last year as a junior, Brock, you had a remarkable season. You had 1,576 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, and you led Lausanne to its second straight 8-win season, a Region 2 AA West championship. You know, unfortunately, you guys lost pretty handily in the semifinals of the state playoffs to Christ Presbyterian out of Nashville. And the closer you get to a championship, losing becomes even harder on players sometimes. And your coach, Kevin LaCastro, said of you, quote, "This is my 34th year of coaching, and Brock is the best I've ever coached at this position." And there are a lot of quarterbacks across the country that are tremendously talented, but I think it's the intangibles, not necessarily the execution on a Friday night, that makes him special. It's his character, it's his ability to relate to his teammates, it's his leadership skills, unquote. Are those tangibles and your character that coach is referring to some of the things that have allowed you to handle, you know, that, just like you said, that semifinal loss, and put games like that behind you and be able to move forward, you know, towards the next year?
Yes, sir, for sure. That was a hard loss. And I didn't play as good as I wanted to and as good as I should have. So that was another game and something that I took Mr. Raber into account, just staying equal and really reflecting on what went wrong. And I was able to do that with my teammates. I think everyone had something that they could have done better that Friday night. And that loss has played a huge part in our off-season program this year. CPA is a great team. Lipscomb's a great team. We know that we are going to have to play them two teams again this year. So all off season, we were going hard in the weight room with our conditioning, just at the spring ball when we were going outside and doing routes on air and stuff like that. We knew that we had to lock in and really focus and get better together as a team and build bonds together to really understand each other in order to beat these good teams up in Nashville and stuff like that. So if we weren't feeling good, or we were thinking about not going 100%, we know in our mind that CPA, Lipscomb, these teams in Nashville are doing it. They're getting the work done. So we got to too. We gotta be a better team together and just bond together. But just, I think lifting with the linemen has helped me a lot, helped me understand them, and just communicate with them so much better. After that loss, we kind of regrouped together, because we were, I think it was four out of five starting O linemen were juniors. So my class, and we're all returning this year. They've had a great season. They're the strength of our team. So really just reevaluating what went wrong, and just not letting it happen again this year has been amazing. And just to see that is awesome.
You know, Max, your adversity and obstacle to overcome was a little bit different. You know, on the night of September 24th of 2021, and a 52-0 home win over Humboldt, you kicked a record, school record 54-yard field goal. And during the celebration, you unfortunately tore your ACL, which is, one of the worst injuries to experience for any athlete. A lot of players would let that keep them down, but immediately afterwards, you're working on getting yourself back up and ready. And you posted, quote, "I will be back." A few days after your injury, Mark West posted on Twitter, quote, You were a special talent, Max Gilbert, an even better young man and teammate. My predictions: 1, you'll break your own record a year from now. 2, we all get to enjoy hearing this story told over and over by Corso, Herbstreit, Fowler on game day for 4 years, unquote. That's awesome. And most recently, this past August, Adam Tanowski said, quote, 8 months after full ACL tear, the kid is a supreme athlete and never left a spot as a top three kicker in the class. Everyone wants to see kickoffs. Every ball was a touchback in college. No concern. He's healthy. He can play in front of 100,000 people, ready to be a star in college, unquote. I can tell you that, you guys are both really bright and confident guys, but that was a significant injury. How were you able to stay so positive and focused after that setback?
I mean, just immediately after it happened, I didn't want to think the worst. I've said this before. I said I didn't want to let that injury define me as a person. I didn't want that to be the what if story. So I just immediately after just went to work in physical therapy. I was at Ortho South, right across the street from Lausanne, and their employees, their staff is amazing. What they did for me. I was there 4 days a week there, and I was 2 days a week at Lausanne with Marty Scruggs, our head trainer, and just every single day I would set little goals for myself just to get better. And it's tough in the start because you go from like that moment like that, hitting the school record field goal, to that night I can't even walk, I can't feel my leg, and then a month later having surgery on it, and my leg shrunk to like the size of like you could like put your hand around my thigh. It was that small, how much muscle you lose after a surgery like that. So there were tough moments, but I always told myself in the back of my mind, like, I know I'm gonna get back to where I am. And I always told people I was never in doubt about that I was gonna come back and be even better than I was before I got hurt. But it's definitely a journey, and I love talking to people now who tear their ACL and tell them it's gonna be okay. Because one of our starting linebackers last year, he tore his ACL this past summer. He's a junior, CJ Lowe, and he's not able to play this year. And I've been talking to him every day, telling him, not kind of just being cocky, but look where I am, look where everyone else has had an injury like that. Tom Brady tore his ACL.
Right.
So many kickers in the NFL have tore their ACL before and at a college level. So I just told myself I wasn't going to let it define me, and that I was going to work hard every day to make sure that I was even better than I was before I got hurt.
The last 5 months or so have been, exciting, and probably a little bit intense for both of you. And Brock, I believe that your final 5 college choices included Power 5 schools: LSU, Florida State, TCU, Auburn, and Ohio State. And initially, it looked like that you might go to Auburn, which may have been the easy choice since your full name was Auburn Brock Glenn, and you're named after your grandfather's alma mater. However, starting with leaving familiar surroundings in your comfort zone in Covington after 8th grade, and maybe even before that, all the way to present day, you've really never taken the easy road, have you?
No, sir. I could, in middle school, I know I want to play college football. And I kind of knew that I wouldn't have the best chances at Covington. So I had to do what was best for me and just bet on myself. Even going to a spot that they had a quarterback. My mom and my brother and I went and toured Lausanne and watched the practice. They had a really good quarterback, Kyle Lowe, who was a 4-star, and he's at MTSU right now, and he's doing great. Me and him are good buddies now. I just had to bet on myself and kind of just trust the Lord and where he'd take me. So I enrolled at Lausanne, and I kind of just watched what he did and kind of try to mimic my game after him as much as possible. And then I just took off from there. So I'm kind of hoping to do the same thing here going to Columbus. I know it's a stacked quarterback room. I get asked multiple times a week about that. And just what was I thinking in choosing them? But I just think that that's what makes you better. Competition makes you better. The hard times are going to make you better and make you a better person overall. So I bet it on myself, Columbus.
You've also never taken the easy road, Max. You went from, talked about playing soccer most of your life to playing football in the 8th grade. ACL surgery late October 21 on your kicking leg. And by April of this year, just 6 months later, you're back out there, fully kicking. And by June, you were 100%. That's a pretty quick, turnaround. You talked about, doing rehab at Ortho South and working on I think you worked on your knee extension there and your flexion. And you also were training every day with, Marty Scruggs. You were obviously really determined not to let that setback affect your future, weren't you?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I didn't want that to define me. And I knew going into the injury, I knew it was going to be a long journey. I knew that coming out of it, it would make me a better person. And, because my whole life athletically, I think things came really easily for me. I mean, in terms of soccer, my dad played at the college level for soccer. And so I just started playing soccer ever since I was born. I loved it. I still, to this day, soccer is my favorite sport. I still love it. And things just came kind of easily to me in terms of that. And that was kind of my first, when I hurt my knee, kind of the first setback. I was like, okay, well, if I told myself, if I really want this, I'm going to work towards it. And because, playing football in college was never really a goal for me my whole life. It just, when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, I can't let this pass. So as soon as I got hurt, I told myself, I was like, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get back to where I was. And I wouldn't stop. I mean, there were definitely obstacles, or definitely rough days, rough weeks where it seems like things weren't getting better, but I just made sure that I had, I guess, linear progression going forward. And I'm just I'm just really excited that I am where I am now. And I owe it down to the people around me and how they supported me.
Brock, you were the last top 20 quarterback in the class of 2023 to commit, which you did on Saturday, July 30th, with your choice, The Ohio State University. Your quarterback coach, Hunter Fick, said, quote, "For other coaches that have to see him in Columbus, you don't want to see him on the other sideline in the fourth quarter. He wins," unquote. You had a lot of different reasons for choosing Ohio State, and I want to share with the audience a few of those today. You said, quote, "I think the offense at Ohio State fits me perfectly. I saw so many formations and plays that look very, very similar to what we do here at Lausanne," unquote. You also said, quote, "A lot of places say they can develop you and they can get you to the league and stuff like that. Ohio State can say that, and they have the proof to back it up. They were just talking about their plan for me coming in. They kept it honest with me the whole time on the quarterback room and all that stuff like that. And they just flat out laid out the plan. You come here and you compete and you win the job. We will make you an NFL quarterback. Just trust us." And I truly believe that, unquote. Tell us a little bit about Coach Day, Coach Dennis, and how, as you said, they made me feel special.
Coach Day and Coach Dennis are great people. They're awesome. Going into my official visit, my mom and my brother and I were very unsure of Columbus, of Ohio State, of Coach Day and Coach Dennis, of the whole coaching staff there. We didn't know much about it. Growing up in the South, we were big SEC fans. My family, huge Auburn fans, etc. So we didn't know much about Ohio State. We went, took an official visit and loved it. They blew it out the water. Coach Day and Coach Dennis were great. I mean, I felt like I was talking to my friend when I was talking to Coach Day. He was a great dude, easy to talk to. He just had a presence in him that lets you know that he cares for you. And I loved the offense when I was there, and they showed me a couple clips and things that they do, and they made me feel special and feel at home. They really did. They always asked how we were doing every day. They always just went out of their way to please us. And I think they made not only me, but my brother and my mom as well, but made them feel special as well.
Max, your decision came just a little bit later. You took a visit to several schools, including Ohio State, Florida State, Alabama. I saw a great picture of you with Nick Saban. In the end, you were choosing between Memphis, Army, and Tennessee, and you made your decision on September 8th. You tweeted out, "Committed, GBO," which for those that don't know, that means Go Big Orange. Caleb Calhoun of fansided.com said, quote, "Tennessee football should have the strongest legs in the SEC with commitment from 2023 Memphis kicker," unquote. And Coach Chris Jordan from Lausanne said, quote, to see him get what he's worked so hard for was awesome. Super proud, super happy, happy for him, unquote. A few of the things that you shared about why you chose the Vols were, quote, I mean, everything, the atmosphere up there, just the culture of Tennessee football in Knoxville. I mean, everyone loves it there. You said, for me and my family, we're all over the moon. I couldn't be more excited to be part of that historic program. It feels like a dream come true. Ever since I was there, it felt like home. The staff, the fans, everything. Knoxville is where I want to be, unquote. Tell the audience a little bit about Coach Heupel and Coach Eckler and what they've meant to you during this whole process.
I think something that I want to touch on, like Brock said, I mean, they were transparent to me throughout the whole recruiting process. I mean, they're great guys. Coach Eckler, he's awesome. I mean, I can call him whenever I want and talk to him about whatever. I mean, I feel like Brock said, he's a friend to me. And Coach Heupel's the same way. He's really personal. He made sure to go out of his way to make me feel at home, make my mom feel at home, make my dad, my stepmom feel at home. We were on visits there. And what Heupel's done to transform that program over the last year and a half has been insane. I mean, they were in that whole scandal with Coach Pruitt like a year and a half ago. They had 40 players transfer out of the program. And then a year and a half later, they're ranked number 6 in the country right now, and they're flying. And I think even before the hype of all this season, even I took really my first visit last year. I went to a game. I went to the Ole Miss game. And it was just, I've never seen an atmosphere like that in college football. I mean, the fans, I mean, they've sold out every single home game this year so far. And that's the most passionate fan base I've ever seen in my life. And just, like I said, just the rumble about Tennessee football right now is just crazy. I mean, in my whole lifetime, I've never seen as much hype around Tennessee football than I have in this moment right now. And like you said, I couldn't be more excited to join that program. It's the best time for me to be joining that program. I think I made a great decision for me and my family, and I can't wait to get up there.
Ironically, my first game to ever go up in Knoxville to see years ago before that was Tennessee Ole Miss. And I remember, I'm not a huge Tennessee fan, no offense. My niece went there and she is, so my family is. But you can't help to get excited when 100,000 fans, back then they were letting go of orange balloons. I don't think they do that anymore. But just that intense atmosphere of that up there, you're right. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's when they run out of the tee, when the players, where the recruits sit when you go on a visit is right behind the uprights where the players run out, and just hearing the noise. They broke like the decibel record of college football when I was at that game versus Ole Miss when the players were running out of when the band was making the tee. And it was just, I told myself, if I ever get the opportunity to play in front of a fan base like that and play in an atmosphere like that, I couldn't turn it down. And it's incredible what they're doing up there. I'll be up there this weekend for the Alabama game. They're playing Alabama on Saturday, and I'll be there. And I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Brock, both of you are going to Power 5 schools. Both of the schools are currently undefeated. Both Ohio State and Tennessee are currently ranked in the top 10. Both schools currently ranked in the top 10 for recruiting for 2023. There's a pretty strong chance that sometime in your career at Ohio State and Max's career at UT that you guys could be playing for a national championship against each other. Wouldn't that be amazing? Now, as much as you guys care about each other, and I think you guys love each other, which is pretty obvious, for the first time in your careers, y'all would be on opposite sidelines. And even though you wouldn't be on the same field at the same time, the field at the same time because of your positions, you'd be competing against each other. Have you guys ever talked about the possibility of that happening and how you would handle it?
Oh, yes, sir. All the time. Actually, today at practice, Max and I were talking about it, and he was like, "Man, y'all suck. We're gonna beat y'all if we ever play." And I'm like, "No, we'll see. We're gonna beat the crap out of y'all." So we always talk crap to each other about it, just joking around, just having fun with it. But it comes up all the time.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like Max was talking about, the excitement around Tennessee football. It hasn't been there in a while, and to have that back, which is great. Anybody who's an SEC fan wants Tennessee to be good. You don't want Tennessee to be bad. You want to have that competition out there. So now to have both of your schools being up there and ranked everywhere together, and the recruiting classes coming in, I mean, it, like I said, very strong possibility that you guys are going to be playing each other. So that has to be pretty awesome. Max, you tweeted out, quote, This fall, Brock, Glenn, and I are raising money for St. Jude Children's Hospital right here in Memphis, Tennessee. To donate, pledge a certain amount of money for each touchdown, field goal, point after attempt that we score. All the proceeds going towards St. Jude, unquote. What an incredible thing that you guys came up with to help such a worthy cause. And, I took a tour of St. Jude about 5 years ago and couldn't believe how amazing that they are there. It takes over $2 billion a year to run that hospital. What gave you guys the idea to do that?
So actually 5 years ago in the class of 2019, I'm sure you may have heard of Eric Gray, who's currently the starting running back at Oklahoma. And he actually originally went to Tennessee. Him and the kicker at the time, Isaac Weiss, who's a senior at the University of Texas right now, they did the same thing. It's called Touchdowns Against Cancer for St. Jude. And they did it, 4 years ago and raised like over $20,000 for St. Jude. So before the season started, I just approached Brock and I was like, hey, do you think this would be a good idea if we could do this? And I asked Coach Castro and he said, yeah, that'd be awesome. And set up the page and it's just taken off since there. And I mean, like you said, growing up in Memphis, even every Memphian knows the importance of St. Jude and what it means for the city and what it means for kids around the world. And it's so important that if you have the platform to give back, that you should. So I'm glad that people have been donating and that me and Brock will hopefully continue to perform at a high level to keep getting the touchdowns and field goals to raise more money.
How can people donate if they want to do that?
It would be in my Twitter at MaxGilb7. It's pledgeit.org and just go to my link. It's in my Twitter bio. If it's not, I'll go put it in there right now. And I'm sure Brock's is the same. And I think the tweet is pinned. So basically just click on the link and then you can pledge a certain amount of money for every touchdown that Brock throws or runs or every kick that I make. You can donate a certain amount of money, like $1 or 50 cents for each one. And then I'll enter a total right now. I think right now we're at around $4,000.
That's great, guys. I know that family is really important to both of you guys, and they were involved in your recruiting process and decision-making process. Brock, your mom, Donna, your older brother, Jordan, and your 3 sisters all in your corner. And you said, quote, relationships are very important and they mean a lot to me. That's kind of what I learned through this recruiting process, how important relationships are, unquote. Please share with the audience a little bit more about your family.
So my mom raised me, my brother, Jordan, my 3 sisters, Autumn, Gabby, and Neely, all our life pretty much. I've been with her my entire life. She's raised me, raised us all together and done a great job. So I give my mom all the credit, as well as my siblings do as well. So just growing up with them and having a tight family and relationship with them has meant everything to me. When I was probably 10 or so, my sisters and brother, and they were all going through high school, and I was that annoying little kid, that annoying little sibling that always wanted to go with them and do what they did, just follow them around. So that was awesome, just bugging them. But now that I'm in the same position, I realize that, man, I bet I sure was annoying to them, but I'm sure they loved it. And that's just a memory we can all look back on. And they've just gave me so much advice growing up and just going through high school and life right now. They've been there for me every time I needed them. I truly think that we're just such a tight family. We can talk to each other about anything. The love is it's unbelievable.
Wonderful. And Max, you sort of, owe having a football career to your mom, Jennifer, as you talked a lot about a little bit earlier. And had she stuck to that initial no, things obviously could have been a lot different today. And thankfully she didn't do that. And you said of your mom, quote, Coach called me and offered me. I just called my mom and she was crying. She couldn't believe it, unquote. I saw the picture of you and your mom together with you in your UT uniform, and it was all smiles. And what a great story for you to share with your children one day. And I also saw a post, I believe Norman is your father. Is that correct?
Yeah.
On July 30th, he said, quote, I think we're going to need a bigger net. Can't wait to see the bombs coming up this season. The state field goal record and school record owned by Max might get broken this year, unquote. You're apparently, you have a super supportive family too. You talked about your mom, your dad, and your stepmom. Tell us a little bit more about them, please.
Like you said, my mom wasn't a big fan of me playing football because she was scared I would get hurt, which doesn't make sense because I never even get touched on the field. I just kick the ball.
Right.
But no, my mom's super supportive. My parents divorced when I was young, but I mean, everyone's good. The relationship's still healthy between everyone. And I've had a stepmom since a young age, and they're all just super supportive of everything I do. Haven't gotten into too much trouble, which, parents always love that. So I wasn't much of a troublemaker, but no, they've just been more than supportive of me. Everything that all my goals, my aspirations have always been supportive. And anytime that I've ever been down or needed assistance or advice on anything, they've always been there for me. And they'll definitely be at every single game at Tennessee for the next 4 years, no matter home or away, how far they'll be.
Wow.
There.
That's amazing. Because yeah, some of those games are probably going to be a little bit far away. So that's obviously super supportive there. I must ask you guys about the post I saw, the 50-yard kick, 50-yard throw, first try this past July. It was a great clip to watch, and that showed off how talented you both are. What gave you guys the idea to do that video?
So every day in practice, we start with offense, and we'll go for probably 10 periods of 5. So it lasts about 55-ish minutes, going through teams, get 7-on-7 inside and stuff like that. So once I get done, I go and work with Max because I'm the holder at Lausanne. So I go and work with him, catch some snaps and hold for Max as he kicks from many different yard lengths. And we were just messing around after offense one day and trying to hit the crossbar. We do it all the time. We'll make a bet that if I hit it, he has 10 push-ups. If he hits it, I have 10. And we'll hit it multiple different times and do our push-ups and kind of talk crap and that, making competitive as well. So one day we were just both throwing it, and he was like, hold up, you spin the ball and then I'm gonna kick it. So he did, and he hit the crossbar, and I was like, dang, well, hold up, I got an idea. Let's throw. It may have been his idea, but I was like, let's throw. I'm gonna throw the ball and hit the crossbar, and then you kick, or vice versa, and hit the crossbar at the same time. He's like, all right, let's go from 50. So we did it, and we got one of our buddies to record, and we hit it first try, and we looked at each other and we were like, dang, we just did that. So it's fun. I always love after offense just going over there and holding for them, and I think that helps us build our relationship. We always talk even about life and stuff like that. So it's been great.
You guys have talked a little bit about your coaches that you have at Lausanne. I know there's a few of them that, you have to be very grateful to, that have been there for you guys throughout your career. And we talked about Coach LeCastro a little bit. Max, who are some of the coaches that you have a special bond with that you would like to, maybe talk a little bit about?
Definitely Coach Jasper. I mean, just on a more than a kicking level, more than a football level. He's like a friend to me. He's like a brother to me. I mean, I spent pretty much every single afternoon with this guy for 4 years, and the whole practice he's with me. So we've grown pretty close, and I feel comfortable doing anything with him, asking him anything. And he's definitely like a brother, if a father figure to me. And I'm grateful for everything he's done for me. And Joe Pascal, he's a special teams coordinator. He's also the safeties and tight ends coach at Lausanne. And I know I get on his nerves every day because I always mess with him because I'm always really eager to know what we're doing at practice. But I mean, every single coach at Lausanne is so, Brock will say the same thing. I think we have the best coaching staff in the state. I mean, how smart they are, what they do, the amount of effort that they put on and off the field during and after practice for us. I mean, the whole team is so grateful for everything they do. And I'm just glad that I'm at a program where we can have coaches at that level.
Brock, what about you?
I agree. I have to give my credit to literally the entire coaching staff at Lausanne, especially Coach LeCastro, Coach Fick, the quarterback coach who I work with every day, and Coach Nagalski, especially him, our offensive coordinator. He kind of taught me about defense and just where you wanted to go with the ball pre-snap. It was after freshman year. Going into senior or sophomore year when I became the starter, Coach Nagalski and I spent great amount of time together watching film before practice and going over defenses and stuff like that. So he really helped me take my game to the next level mentally. And then Coach Vic helped me physically do it. And even before I got to Lausanne, I have to give a lot of credit to Coach Thomas Morris of QB Country, my quarterback trainer. I train with him as much as possible. Like whenever I get the free time to do it on the weekends or anytime we don't have football or something like that, I definitely make sure to try to go and train with him. He's a great coach. I believe he's the best trainer in the country. Him and his brother, David Morris, who is the founder of Quarterback Country, they train multiple college Power 5 starters. They train multiple NFL guys, Mac Jones, Daniel Jones, guys like that. So just being able to work with them has been awesome, and they've helped me develop tremendously. Coach Morris, I started working with him in early seventh grade, maybe sixth grade. And he taught me a lot of the physical things and attributes about football and playing quarterback. And then Coach Nagalski, and Coach LeCastro and Coach Vic helped me apply those things to real football and real plays and real team. So I got to give all my credit to them, and without a doubt, my mom.
Awesome. My last question for both of you is, what are the most important lessons that you've learned in life? Max, I'll start with you.
For me, I'd say just the ability to be resilient and patience. For me, I mean, like you mentioned with my injury, everyone's going to face obstacles in their lifetime. Everyone's going to face challenges. It's just, do you have the ability to overcome those? And even if you can't, what good can you make out of it? In my life, I've been able to overcome those challenges and make them into positives. And that's something I think is so important. And also the ability to be patient. I mean, through the recruiting process, it was really slow for me for a really long time. For any specialist, kicker, punter, snapper, it's really slow. And I was getting really impatient. I was like, when is it my turn? When am I going to find out where I'm going? And I think with Brock, I mean, he was getting offers. I mean, a lot of teams was getting the offers. I mean, I didn't get my first offer until, I really only had 2 official offers. I only had Army and Tennessee, and I didn't even get Tennessee until 3 days before I committed. So I think, and that taught me a lot of patience and just trusting the greater being and just, the things are going to work out. And even if they don't, what positives can you make out of it?
So it took a little while, but you got an offer from one of the best schools in the country. So obviously it was worth it. So that's all. Congratulations again on that. Brock, what about you?
I'd say, like I said, with the recruiting process, one of the main things that I've learned is how valuable relationships truly are. Whether that's a relationship with your teammates, your coaches, or your family, relationships are everything. And I truly believe that. At some time in your life, no matter who you are, you're going to need somebody else. You're going to need somebody else to be there for you. And just having the relationships and building those relationships with many different people, whether it's family, coaches, friends, teammates, whatever, you're going to need someone in your life at some time. So just being able to be there for somebody else and knowing that they'll be there for you is truly just powerful. And it means everything. And then another thing that I think I've learned is, like Mr. Graber always tells us, just maintaining an equal state of mind. Never get too high, never get too low. Bad things are going to happen. And not just football, in life. Something bad's going to happen to everybody's life. So just never getting too high, never thinking too highly of yourself, and never thinking too lowly of yourself. Just always maintaining a level, equal state of mind.
How can people find you guys on social media and follow your careers? Max?
Instagram is just Max Gilbs, Gilbs spelled Gilbs. And then my Twitter is same thing, Max Gilbs, with just a 7 on the end.
Okay. Brock, what about you?
My Instagram is B1Glenn, B1GLENN. And then my Twitter account is Brock1Glenn, BROCK1GLENN.
And if anybody wants to see these two young men, display their talents and showcase their talents, this Friday night, October 14th at 7:00, 5-1, Lausanne's going to be playing a district game against St. George's, which I believe is the final home regular season game for Brock and Max this year. And, guys, this has been a lot of fun for me. Even though you guys are going to be going your separate ways in January, I know that this is going to be a lifelong friendship that you have here, and you're going to be rooting for each other, every game next fall. And, two great friends, from the same school, both going to top ranked Power 5 programs, is a great story that maybe one day you guys are going to write a book together. And I know that you guys are going to have successful careers, and maybe you'll be able to tell the world about it in a book. And there's going to be a lot of people back here in Memphis that are going to be, rooting for you guys, including me now, because I'm going to be watching really carefully, cheering you on and throughout your college careers and what I expect to one day, be playing in the NFL. So I really appreciate both of you guys coming on today.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. Thank you again, guys.